Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Planet Coaster here on Theme Park Worldwide. I'm Sean Sandbrook and this is episode 12 where we're going to be working on this Studios park. Now it's actually the third episode in this series where I'm going to be working on my Back to the Future themed roller coaster, and hopefully the last episode on it. I'm planning to get the ride finished in this episode. We're going to do some of the exterior, work on that facade, and of course get the indoor effects finished as well. I want some nice triggers on the ride, more special effects, more scenery, definitely, especially in the second section of the ride. And yeah, it's all going to come together really nicely, meaning at the end of this episode I should be able to share with you guys an on-ride POV, a full experience of the Back to the Future coaster, all finished up. Like I say, it does come in two parts, this ride. You've got like the initial section before that first launch, all the first section of the ride, a second launch, and then your big finale, so to speak, as it leads back round towards the brake run and the station. And I must say, it's been coming together really nicely. I've been looking at all your comments on the past couple of episodes and looking at all your feedback on this ride. Great to see that most of you out there are enjoying this ride. I really like this one. It's one of my favourites that I've ever built in Planet Coaster, actually. And I do love indoor coasters at real parks. Obviously, when I go to a lot of these parks around the world, and you might have seen them in the vlogs, if you've not seen our vlogs playlist, definitely recommend checking that out. Lots of different vlogs from many different theme parks all around the world. But I love dark rides, and especially dark coasters. Space Mountain Mission 2 at Disneyland Paris was one of my all-time favourite coasters for a very long time, until I rode Shambhala when that opened in 2012. But yeah, there's some fantastic indoor coasters out there, and this one's certainly shaping up to be really nice. It's just a shame that it's not real. Obviously there was a Back to the Future ride at the Universal parks. It wasn't a roller coaster, it was a simulator based attraction, one of my least favourite ride simulators, but with it being based on one of my favourite movie franchises of all time, then I would have loved to have rode that one. But unfortunately I didn't actually make it out to Universal until 2014. And then 2015 went to Universal in Hollywood, and yeah, I'm still yet to do the other ones out there around the world. I am more leaning towards Disney than Universal, but I do enjoy some of their newer attractions, especially Harry Potter. I think the Wisdom World is absolutely fantastic. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about what the plan is then to continue with this ride. So you can see a bit of footage there, just looking at how these clocks are that I've put in. Obviously Back to the Future, based on time travel, that's the main part of the film, so I wanted to put lots of clocks and things around here. Not really in any particular places, it's just sort of stick them in there and see how they look. Move them about a bit if I need to. And yeah, moving on from those, sticking a couple of DeLoreans here. This is mainly to impact the second section of the ride. So as you're passing around here after the second launch, you do that little outdoor inversion and you'll come back in and it'll be like you're going to go head on into one of these DeLoreans just here. They're obviously flying about. I've put like all mist effects in there as well in the last episode, and yeah, that's all about making it feel like you're floating higher up in the air than you actually are. And that's why we've got all the stars all around you, 360 on this one, to add to that. They're on the ceiling, they're on the walls, they're on the floor, and there'll only be a few parts on the ceiling where I'm not going to put stars, just so it makes you feel like you're flying a little bit lower in that section. And you'll notice that when you watch the POV back towards the end of this episode. So now it's about doing some triggered effects just here. Obviously there's lots of fantastic special effects in Planet Coaster. When it first launched in November 2016, you know, it had some great effects, but not quite as many as what we've got now. There's all sorts that have been added over the past sort of year and a half that this game's been around. Quite a few of them for free, other ones have come as part of paid DLC. And yeah, I like the DLCs, what they've done. This Back to the Future one's nice. I wish there was a little bit more stuff in it. But certainly I feel like they've rectified that with some of the latest DLC, especially with the vintage pack. I'm actually working on another park off camera, just when I have a bit of spare time, which to be honest isn't very often, but sometimes, you know, you work on one project and it's nice to do something else sometimes and just have a little break, and it keeps your mind refreshed really. It means I can come back to this and work on it the best I can do, and obviously have a little break sometimes and work on that. But yeah, the vintage pack's one that I absolutely love. In fact, I think for my next series I might look at doing a bit of a vintage style park, maybe a pier or a full-on vintage amusement park. So comment down below as always with your suggestions for that one. But yeah, I love the vintage stuff. It's so nice. Like, you're doing some really good sort of steampunk style things with it as well. There's some really nice archways which I love, and if you play the game yourself, you'll know what I'm talking about with them archways. But yeah, here it's just about triggering them effects that when you come back in, obviously you're doing the outdoor section, you're going to shoot back inside, and I want these sort of explosions to be going off, like you're travelling fast through time, really. And that's what I'm triggering there, as you can see on the right hand side in that tab. It's just about putting in the different times. So when the train passes over, you'll see just here, and bang, 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 as it goes over. It's all nicely in sync. Obviously you could have them as continuous effects, but it's not quite the same because you'd see them at other parts of the ride. That indoor scene there is pretty much done now, so you can see there I'm putting the roof on that. Obviously if I need to go back and do any edits I can do once the roof is on, but obviously to place larger scenery it's a lot easier to do that without the roof, and that's a bit of advice for you if you want to build something similar, just an indoor coaster in general or dark ride. Don't put your roof on until you really need to. Put all your theming on the floor, the walls, and then don't put that roof on until the end. You can see there as well, I'm just leaving a bit of a gap in the ceiling. That's obviously because it needs to be a bit higher, because that's one of the taller parts of the ride, just as it comes off that top hat after the first launch just there. Here you can see I'm just putting in some automatic doors. I'm also going to add some in after listening to your feedback at the start of the ride. So basically, so you don't see that first launch, I'll add them in a little bit later on, and you'll see that in the finished POV. And that leads me to move on to the exterior of the Back to the Future ride. Again, having a little break from the inside. I've just finished off maybe half of the indoor sections now. So I'm going to finish that last section, which is mainly going to be flying through the rocks and that sort of thing. A bit of a crash landing with that one. I'm trying to still sort of work out what I want the story to be. I've seen a lot of comments from you guys, and it seems like you're enjoying the futuristic style feel to the station, and of course like the actual building itself. So yeah, I'm going to continue with that with the storyline to this one. Like I say, it's not supposed to be based on Back to the Future directly, it's my take on it with this one. It's a bit more of a modern facility. It's not like the shed or the garage where Doc Brown was working on the DeLorean and all his other ideas. One of my favourite parts in the film actually, when he had like a model of it all set up on there, where of course they were going to launch the car forward to 88 miles an hour and connect it to the electricity pylons and to the clock tower. You know, I love that scene. But yeah, it's going to be a lot more of a modern take on it, as you can tell with the scenery that I did in episode 11. Anyway, I'll shut up for a few minutes, let you enjoy a bit of theme park music, and then I'll talk a little bit about what I'm doing on the exterior of the building. So as you've seen there over the past few minutes, I've carried on that futuristic feel on the outside of the building over to the right hand side just there. But this left hand side of the building here is going to be very different. And this is actually going to be the first part that you see from walking into the area. And now, of course, in the future of this part, there is going to be 2 entrances to the area because you'll also be able to come in from the right. But I am going to block that off for now until this park is open, because that's the plan. In the next episode, I'm going to work on that drop tower and get that finished so that can open. And then the following episode, we're going to get this park open. So yeah, it'll be number 14, episode 14. This part will be in action. Following that, with us getting quite close to Halloween, I'm going to do a big Halloween event in this park with like dance parties, theming around the park, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, get your suggestions coming in for that one. That'll be a fun one to do. But yeah, here you can see now I'm just putting in, well, what is actually going to be the clock tower from Back to the Future. And now originally I wasn't planning to put this quite as big on the outside. I was thinking of just having it as a little item in the queue line. But so many people have commented and said, Sean, you've got to put in the clock tower, or at least something from Hill Valley. And with this being the main event from the film, or I would call it the main event from the film anyway, it makes an appearance in some form in all 3. I do like it in all of the episodes, actually, in all the movies, especially in number 2. I really like the modern feel with all the glass panels on the front. Of course, in number 3, where we're going right back to Wild West times, where it's just been built back there, you know, so it's fascinating how it changes throughout the film. But yeah, that's what I'm putting in here. It's going to look like it did originally. We're not going for the Wild West version, because obviously that's a bit of a surprise inside the ride with that big scene. And then of course with the second one, it's more modern. I'm going to go with the original feel with this one, because I just think it works more. We keep that all original here on the left, and then I'm actually going to put in a little building on the right hand side of that to cover up that futuristic section. So really, until you come off the ride, you're not going to see that outdoor section around there, unless you know it's there, you know. But yeah, so I'm just going to put some windows and finishing touches on this. Obviously, all stuff around the top there, like a nice finisher to it, just so it looks nice. And of course, I'll put the clock on itself. Unfortunately, the clock that I wanted to use in this is a little bit bigger than, it just looked a bit silly on the front. You'll see me mess about with that in a moment. So I do have to go with one that's a slightly different design. But yeah, it still looks nice on there. You know, you can still tell what it is, which is the important thing. Obviously, you know, I think it looks quite nice actually out the front just there. It's not an exact replica of it, but that is actually going to be the entrance to it. There you go, you can see what I mean with the clock. I wanted to use that one originally, but yeah, way too big, so it looks silly. So I just changed the colours a bit on that one, put some black and white on it, and I've put that one on the top. I know it doesn't look anything like the clock out of Back to the Future there, but it's certainly more realistic than having that massive one on the front. And yeah, so like I say with this one, it's going to be the entrance to the queue line. The queue is going to span round to the left of this, a bit on the outside, mostly an exterior queue line, and then make your way into the station area just there as well. But yeah, it's all about putting finishing touches on there. Like I say, that's going to be the entrance just there. And out the front here, a massive sign, the same sign what we've got above the where the ride comes out into that outdoor inversion. But one a lot lower down, probably some rocks on it and stuff, just so people can have some photos with that one. Here you can see an exit path going into my Back to the Future roller coaster, and that's going to run down and connect up with the main path. Like I say, this will be a dead end for now until the future expansion of this park, where we carry it on down, and I'm going to do some sort of pier of some form, maybe like a vintage pier down at the side. Like I say, I'm loving the vintage pack, so I think I should bring some of that into this studios park, and maybe do it as like an operational set down there with a wooden roller coaster is my plan, like a traditional wooden coaster. It'll actually be a new ride, but I'm going to make it look very traditional. That's the plan, a bit like they did with California Screaming in a way in 2001 when that opened at Disney California Adventure. Obviously most recently for this year, that's become the Incredicoaster, and I'm not too sure how I feel about that. But yeah, again, comment below. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on that one, especially if you've been over to that park or you know a lot about the Disney parks. What do you think to the change to Pixar Pier? Because I'm not too sure. I loved Paradise Pier, having Mickey's Fun Wheel there. Obviously California screaming in the background. Obviously they wanted that to look like a wooden roller coaster. Yes, it's a steel ride, it's manufactured by Intamin, but they did a great job of making it look like a traditional wooden roller coaster. If you can hear a bit of squeaking going on in the background, I've had a new chair and it's ridiculously squeaky. You're probably all laughing your head off there, wondering what the squeaks are. I'm not too sure if you can hear them over the audio, because obviously I've not put that on yet, but there you go. Yeah, if you can hear some squeaks, it's my chair, it's very squeaky. But yeah, I'm going to look at after getting another one, I think, because it's well, it's a new chair for the room. It's not a new chair that I've bought, so I might have to look at buying another one. But you can see just there as well how I've got all the plants going in, the rocks, you've got that entrance sign in now, and it looks really nice. It's coming together really well, this one. And yeah, again, I'll leave you a bit of theme park music, and I'll come back when we start working again on the interior of the ride. So as you saw there over the past couple of minutes, just sorting out the top of the roof just there, and they're putting some walls on and then roof panels just to cover up that top section of track. Like I say, it's one of the tallest parts of the coaster, that one. So if they carried on with the roof across, yes, the track would have fit in, but when the train was going over, obviously it wouldn't have been very realistic at all, because yeah, it would have gone straight into people. But yeah, anyway, that's all sorted out. Working on the final couple of indoor sections now. This is actually a very fast-paced part of the ride, and this is going to be relying heavily on special effects such as mist, smoke, fire, and yeah, some nice triggered lighting effects down here as well to strobe it off really as people are coming past. But yeah, so basically I'm putting in loads of rocks, and it's going to be like you're passing through time really fast this section. Like obviously you've gone through all your space stuff. I don't want any more stars in this section. I want it to be lots of rocks, just like you're crash landing pretty much through the planet, so to speak, and then you're going to end up back here in the building at the end of the ride, which we'll put in a few minutes time. Again, a couple more DeLoreans going in here, just flying about, just to add to the overall feel of it. And yeah, with it being such a fast-paced part of the ride, we don't need to think about loads of little details here. It's more about putting them rocks in all the way around and building basically a wall of rocks all the way around it just to cover up the building. And yeah, you're going to pass through it really quick. We're going to have lots of triggered lights. You can see me working on those just here. And the good thing is with this, you can do all sorts. With the lighting now, you can have them strobing really fast. Again, it was all quite limited when they first put the lights in, but you can do all sorts now. The fact that you can get them little control panels that you can see just there for triggering the effects. But yeah, it looks really nice now. There you can see all the lights strobing a bit. To do that nice and simple, just set them at different times to go off. Maybe like one at 1 second, another one at like 1.2 of a second, etc. And then it'll all come together really nicely and you'll get them flashing as fast as you want. I've not got them going ridiculously fast, just at a nice sort of pace that it makes a difference. Some fire effects going in now. I do love a bit of fuego, hence why I love Valhalla at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, one of my favourites. Templo del Fuego at Portaventura, that's another good one. Poseidon's Fury, look forward to getting back on that at Universal. Some interesting stuff going on at Universal actually. Obviously they're removing out the show just next to it, the Sinbad show. Obviously that's right next to Poseidon's Fury. I really hope that we're not going to lose that attraction. It's one of my all-time favourite theme park attractions, and I won't spoil it if you've not been on it before, but if you have been on, you'll know what I mean in terms of special effects. There's all sorts of epic stuff in there. That's pretty much done there, so just putting the roof on. Again, I'm going to go back in a second, as you'll see, and just put in some mist effects underneath and some smoke. But yeah, you can see that it looks really quite intense actually as you make your way through. Some really nice head choppers, some really good near miss moments on that. Again, in my opinion, a really important part of a roller coaster. Near misses, theming around, it's important, it really is. And then you're going to crash land right at the end of the ride here, back in Doc Brown's workshop really, where you're going to come in, we're going to put a bit of roof over that, and obviously you've got all the mist, and then all of a sudden, bam, you're back there, that's the end of the ride, and that's the brake run. It'll bring you back round into the station. It's quite a long coaster this, it's actually just over 2 minutes from station to station, because you've got that stop section in the middle. Sometimes that can lose pace and stop people's enjoyment with a ride, but I feel like with this there's enough going on in that scene, and yeah, it's like, because the second section's long, just as long as the first section, it's not too disappointing. There's some rides out there where you have a really good long first section, and then the second section, oh, it's had a stop, and then it's not as good. Sometimes they'll put a mid-course brake run in, and a perfect example of this is something that was announced last week, and that's Yukon Striker at Canada's Wonderland. Beautiful first section, and then it's got the mid-course, and then you just literally got another drop, a helix, and then into the brakes. For me personally, there should be some more in that second section, but you can't fully judge a ride till you've been on it, so I do look forward to experiencing it at some point in the future. But yeah, for me it's all about, if you are doing a stop section, you need to make sure that second part of the ride has got plenty going on. But yeah, if you don't know much about Yukon Striker, check out our weekly episodes. Every Wednesday we upload a new video to the channel, which is all about the latest theme park news. You can also send in photos of you at the theme parks if you want yourself to appear in a video here on Theme Park Worldwide. So like I say, check that out. It's online every Wednesday and it's called TPW Weekly, so make sure you check that one out. Working on the station here now, not too heavily detailed this one, but there's going to be quite a few pieces in there to look at still. And yeah, mainly using that futuristic stuff to work with there and make it look a bit like that first section of the ride. And yeah, for the final time, I'll leave you with the music, then I'll come back to you before completing this ride and sharing some on-ride footage of my Back to the Future themed roller coaster. Oh yes. So just putting in them finishing touches now, and we're around a minute away from me sharing an on-ride POV with all the theming, all the effects, everything complete on this ride. It's took 3 episodes, but I'm really pleased with how it's come together. And I might be the one with the mouse actually building this thing, but all of your comments on the videos are really helpful. I really appreciate them, so keep them coming in. Like I say, in the next episode, I'm going back to the drop tower to get that finished, and then in the following episode, we're going to get this park open, and then start to think about Halloween, a big show, all that sort of stuff inside the park. So yeah, some exciting episodes to come in the next few weeks here on Let's Play Planet Coaster on Theme Park Worldwide. Thank you very much for watching this episode. I'm looking forward to sharing this with you guys now. So here we go. It's time for a full, complete experience, including the on-ride POV of my Back to the Future themed roller coaster here on Planet Coaster. I'll see you guys in the next episode, and sit back, hold on tight, and enjoy the ride. See you soon.
Welcome to Back to the Future the Ride. When a member of personnel has directed you, please wait for the gates to open fully before proceeding to your time-traveling vehicle. Please make sure that all loose articles are secure before boarding. Doc Brown requires no extra equipment on this experiment.
Hello there, friends. Doc Brown has invited us and Marty to head round to the lab to see his latest invention, the 8-person DeLorean. Doc, look behind you, I'm here. What's the plan with the new DeLorean?
Next Saturday night, we're sending you back to the future.
Thanks for that one, Doc, but I kind of gathered that one. Anyway, I've brought along some friends to help with the experiment, so I guess we'll see you on Saturday. Hang on a minute. Saturday? That's now. It's Saturday night. It's time to test the experiment.
88 miles per hour!
That seemed to go well at our end, Doc. How are we looking?
Terminal displacement occurred exactly 1:20 a.m. in 0 seconds!
That's great news, Doc. Keep us updated. Watch out, Marty!
Ah, Jesus Christ!
Well, what's wrong, Marty? Where have we ended up? Marty? Marty, Doc, come in.
It's 8 o'clock, and I'm calling you out.
It's not 8 o'clock yet.
It is by my watch.
I'm not really feeling up to this today, so I'm gonna have to forfeit.
Forfeit, and I'm giving you the count of 10 to come out here and prove I'm wrong. You can't do that. Hey, you can't do that.
You did well to get out of that one, Marty, but we've lost Doc. Doc, can you hear me? Come in. Doc.
21 gigawatts!
Doc, we've had a few close shaves, but everything's going to be fine. The DeLorean is still intact. We're on our way back to the lab. Make sure you get the landing area clear for us. We've made it! Thanks for your help, everyone. Without you, we wouldn't have been able to test out the 8-person DeLorean. Thanks from me, Marty, and Doc, and we'll see you soon.
Please remain seated until your ride vehicle comes to a complete stop. Thank you.